Hey folks, this is Jake with Seattle Coffee Gear, and today I'm going to be giving you what to look for in a great drip brewer. Now, a lot of people have drip brewers at home. You may have a different model than these, or a smaller one or a larger one, but I want to share you just some general information on what to look for and how to decide on a new drip brewer. So first and foremost, what we think is important here at Seattle Coffee Gear is the Gold Cup rating, or the Gold Cup standard, a standard provided by the SCAA, which is the Specialty Coffee Association of America. And they do testing on all sorts of drip brewers, everything that you can imagine. And they test temperature, they test for brew time, they test for extraction, all sorts of parameters. And they have a range of time and temperature and extraction that they like to keep within. And if a brewer does that, and it does it consistently, then it gets that Gold Cup rating. And you'll either see that on the box, on the manufacturer's website, or there's a list online as well of all those brewers. And both these brewers here, the Techniform and the Precision Brewer, are Gold Cup rated. It just means that you're going to be getting the best out of your coffee beans each and every time. And it's consistent, and it won't burn the coffee. Another thing to look for in a drip brewer is capacity. We like the larger drip brewers here at the office because they offer us 60 ounces of coffee per pot, but there are smaller ones like this Techniform here, which is a 40-ounce model. You really want to choose what capacity is right for you. Smaller capacities are a little more forgiving when you are making a half batch or a 3/4 batch. Larger capacity typically are a little more difficult to half batch, but for this Precision Brewer, you can either use a flat bottom cone or a flat bottom filter or a cone filter, and that changes up your batch size as well. Ease of use, that's a really important one. Techniforms are well known for being some of the easiest drip brewers to use. You fill it up with water, you put your coffee in, you hit a switch, and you're done. And beautiful coffee will come out. We like the simplicity of the Techniform. Also, some similar drippers like the Ratio 6 are super simple, kind of just one button in the morning, and you're good to go. If you are needing something with a little more features, the Precision Brewer, it is a little more complicated to use, but luckily once you customize your brew, get all your settings dialed in, again, it's just a couple of buttons in the morning and you're good to go. We really like that the Breville has auto off in the settings, and it also has flow rate so that you can kind of adjust for smaller batches, slow down the flow rate a little bit, get a little more time to extract that coffee with less water. And we think that's a really helpful thing to have. And the next thing is the carafe style. As you can see here, we have a glass carafe, thermal carafe. We've talked about carafes a lot. But basically, if you think that you're not going to be able to drink a full pot of coffee among you, your family, your friends, your office, by the time that it would cool down, a thermal carafe is a really good option. It keeps your coffee warm, not quite as piping hot as a glass carafe with a hot plate, but it's more stable. You're not going to burn your coffee, and it's going to keep it pretty warm for a couple hours, especially if you preheat the carafe, if you know you're going to need a little more time on that. Breville also makes a glass carafe model with a hot plate as well. Techniform, this Techniform here is a glass carafe. If you typically serve up quite a few cups of coffee at a time, you're going to use your whole pot, within half an hour. Glass carafe is great. You can see how much coffee you've got instead of having to weigh it, just kind of judge by hand. You can see exactly how much you've got. It'll be much warmer than the thermal carafe because the hot plate keeps it closer to the temperature it was actually brewed at, rather than relying on, insulation to do that. So if you need a piping hot cup of coffee, go for the glass carafe, but just make sure that you don't leave it on the hot plate too long. For the Precision Brewer here, as I mentioned earlier, half pots can be a little bit tricky in brewers because oftentimes that means that you are brewing for half the amount of time, and the coffee can come out kind of weak that way. This is the Mocha Master Select model, and this means that you can actually set it for a half pot or a full pot, so halfway up if you want 20 to 30 ounces of coffee, or a full pot if you want that full 40 ounces. And what it does is it slows down the brew to make sure that you're getting the extraction. The Breville does it automatically based on what filter you choose, as well as having a single cup, a cold brew method, and an over ice method, which uses only 20 ounces of water. And that slows the rate way down. And you can actually hear it when it's running. The pump is working a little less hard because it's working a little more slowly. And then there's the other kind of creature comfort types of things. An easy to read water tank to make sure that you're not overfilling is a nice thing to have. I usually use my carafe to fill up the water tank, but if you're just filling it up with a glass or from the sink, an easy to read one is really good. Both these have good cup measurements, and then the Breville has ounces, fluid ounces, whereas the Techniform here, the Mocha Master, has liters because it is, a European-made model. But easy to read water tank, good. Solid carafes are always good too. Make sure the handle, when it's full of water or coffee, you don't want it to feel flimsy. We've seen some carafes on less expensive models that do feel a little bit flimsy or aren't as comfortable in your hand. The Techniform here has the classic lifting lid if you need more clearance for like a travel mug or something like that, or just to clean it out. And then those are really the big things that you want to look for in a great drip brewer. Ease of use is always going to be most important if you're using an appliance every day. You just want something that's simple or easy to use, as well as having all the features that you want. Good temperature control with the copper boilers in both of these. SCA Gold Cup rated is always a great option. Make sure that you have a consistent cup of coffee every single time. Good craft design, the right size for your kitchen. And I think you can't go wrong with starting from there and then, going by aesthetics or what have you further down the road. So thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.